leader, as a woman of her word, very passionate, very driven. C'est vraiment une femme incroyable, es una mujer increíble, es una de las mujeres la más poderosa que yo conozco. Okay? Vraiment une femme incroyable. C'est un leader, c'est une femme d'entreprise, c'est vraiment une personne incroyable. And so I want you to give a warm, Validus welcome. And I want to do this one more time because I have to. Validus, are you ready? Sorry, I had to do it. It felt it. Monsters look at me going, oh my God. It's an honor to introduce to you my very good friend, the VP of Oceania, okay, Miss Tracey Burgess.
Opportunity to come and listen and hear us speak. But I really want to have a clear conversation today. Who's ready to get comfortable with being uncomfortable? Really? Quite often you'll hear leaders speak about what you need to do and how you need to get to the levels and what they are. And Phil has set the baseline on what that means today. But do you want me to teach you how? How many times do you read a book or you go through leadership training and everyone tells you what that you need to do? And you go, but I don't know how. Yes? Can I hear you? Yes? So you all know how? You don't need me to teach you how it's done? Our lives are built on stories. One of the most amazing, is it ready? Yeah. Is it hooked up? Every leader leaves a legacy which is the aggregate of the story he and she has told over time. But what you need to be remembered for and what you need to consider is, do you want to be remembered because of the results that you achieved? Because your legacy will be read later, but it's being written now. So do we want to be remembered for what we've achieved or how we've treated people? What will we want to be remembered for? I earn all these dollars, but I'm not a very likable person. All of these stories that we tell each other and all of the stories that you're writing in your life are being written right now. When you hear some of us speak, when you interact with us, the story you tell yourself comes from a very deep emotional state. Everything human beings do is based on emotional feeling. How many times have you heard trust your gut? Right? Someone's having a communication with you that you're not connecting. Or there's something about someone presenting an opportunity and it just doesn't feel right because the person presenting is not being self-aware that the story they're telling is not the story that the other person is receiving. And if we learn to connect our self-awareness with our emotions and our skills and our offering, you'll be unstoppable. Do you agree? How many times have you walked out of a meeting and you first met someone and they've been distracted or they've been, talking over here, haven't greeted you well, and that emotional depth you have inside yourself says, I just don't like that person. I just can't see myself working in their team. Because for people to want to buy something or to buy your story or the story that you tell, they literally have to like you. How many times has anyone in this room bought something off anyone, whether it be a car salesman, a house, with a salesperson that they didn't like? Zero. So when you're learning to connect and communicate with people, you need to be really self-aware on what your communication is so it feeds back to you. Right? So how do we do that? To intentionally write your leadership legacy, you must behave consistently with what they say is your value. Right? You need to lead with a positive attitude and demonstrate your commitment. Right? A safe environment. Not come to my team, and sit down and then all of a sudden there's all these negative vibes because the story you're telling people is not a positive story. You're not being self-aware or reading the room. Some of the biggest skills, some of the top business people I've met, both male and women, have got a self-awareness and actively are looking for body language that helps you understand the emotion of another person. Females are very emotional people. Males at times can be very transactional, so if they're in a position of vulnerability, they will always revert to task orientation because that's the easiest thing to just get the job done. But in doing that, you miss the people who you are trying to nurture that won't come on your journey with you. You need to foster a safe environment. That means when you say, please tell me, how are you feeling? And someone tells you and you go, that's not right. Because let's be really clear, opinions are not up for discussion. It's what people feel. I don't know if many people know my background, but let me just give you a little bit of a touch base of my corporate life before I started on my entrepreneurial journey. I worked in some of the biggest banking insurance industries in digital transformational business change, building technology, people, tools, processes for some of the biggest banks and insurance companies, my biggest being 2 billion euros throughout Europe. And one of the best leadership topics I ever looked at was the Disney Institute. Disney is one of the most amazing places, and it's well known to be the happiest place on earth. Yeah? Who's been to Disneyland? Not many? Disney's structure on how they take people on the journey is built around storytelling that provides value and a fuzzy, warm feeling. How many people have got children or as a child loved watching that fairy tale story of a Disney princess, a prince, or a story that took you through turbulence into an end result that was very, very happy? Yeah? Yeah. One of the things they do when they talk about leadership and how they train their people is we actually talked about them as cast members. They're not employees. They're not staff. They're cast members. Because in the Disney model, everybody is part of the story. And when you watch a story go from start to finish, there are always touch points in that story where you'll feel happy, right? And then the monster comes in. There's always a villain in that story, right? Always a villain. And then your emotions change. So when you're watching it unfold, we do that every day, in every way, relationships, business, the whole thing. How someone speaks to you in a tone, how someone engages with you, whether they're eye contact, you feel it first. You might hear words, but your ability to feel what's happening, and when you tap into that, and you understand it, and you learn how to grow with it, your business will take up tenfold. You sapphires will be crown diamonds 30% quicker than if you don't tap into your emotion, how you treat people, and how you respect them, and what you do. Active listening is the clearest and quickest way to build trust, first and foremost. If you're sincere and you actively listen and you motivate and engage with all members, right? It has to be through inspirational leadership. Another word that gets thrown around all the time, inspirational. What does that mean? As a leader, you cannot demand respect. It's not about the role, it's about the goal. No one cares that we've got titles. They care about what is the company's values. What are our values? How do we value you? What can we do for you? And I think you've heard from Mansell this morning and Bill, and what you'll hear through this next weekend is we can do amazing things for you. We've done amazing things for you. We've shown you the one. You don't need an education. You don't need a job description. You don't need to sit down and fill out a million pieces of paper. You don't need to go to a building and sit down and beg someone to give you a job to change your time for a certain amount of cash. We have given you the roadmap that has no boundaries, nothing to stop you. The only thing stopping anyone from executing right now in acceleration is the story you tell yourself. We all tell ourselves a story. I can't speak on stage like Phil. I can't speak on stage like Mansell. We don't want you to be Phil, Mansell or Tracey. We want you to be authentically you. That is where the magic lies. You're writing your legacy. You're writing your story right now. And there's nothing stopping your story from ending with a crown. Do we agree? Absolutely. Excellent. Right? When people are providing feedback in that conversation, we can't let the ego get in the way. Right? Never exclude anyone when you're in a team situation and someone says, I don't feel right about this, or I don't understand what's happening here and I'm not feeling well about this particular situation. The response, the egotistical response, who do you think you are? I'm going to take you off all the WhatsApp groups and you're not in the Zoom anymore, and bad leadership, not even leadership. Shouldn't be in the business, shouldn't be working with people, right? That is not the way to build trust and to build teams that want to excel to greatest heights that they can excel to, right? I'm going to share a story with you. I'm going to tell you about the first time, and Mansell and I discussed this on Monday when I arrived. Shall I share it, Mansell? Right. So, when I first was shown the Validus opportunity, does everyone want to hear this story? This is a great story.
Yes.
Right? You want to hear it? Yes. Okay, so, July 2022, I get a call from a person that worked for me in Germany under Munich Re. Tracey, I've got this investment to show you. At the time, that was the language. Fair enough. What is it? And then as we started to look at the opportunity, he showed me the leadership team. And I said, I'm sorry to tell you, I'm not interested in your opportunities. This doesn't align with my brand. This is not who I am, and this is not what my main passion is. So therefore, thank you very much. It's not for me. Next minute, we just want to get you on the phone to our president, Mansour Tawafi. Wants to have a bit of a discussion with you about your feedback. Now, this is the difference between the 5-level leader and the 1st-level leader. Never at any point did he go, well, if she doesn't align with my brand, see you later. Because his ego is not there in these discussions. His first thought was, what do you mean? Of course it aligns with my brand. Okay, let's have the conversation. There's Tracey. Please explain to me, you've got all these experience, your business, your this and your that. And I go, yeah, I do. Grant Cardone, partner, 10X super coach, speaker, mentor, women empowerment, real estate business, finance. You've done billions around the world. I said, absolutely I have. Why don't you align with my brand? I said, because you're a boys club. And I don't see me up there represented. Right, ladies? Right? I get this all the time. So what do you mean, Sorju? What do you mean, what's a boys club? I said, well, let me explain it to you. You're leaving half of what you haven't made on the table because 50% of the population aren't represented on your leadership team. So we don't feel, and I'm a strong, powerful, successful woman, that I probably have a voice there. Not a seat at the table, because I'm not into seats at the table. Don't bring me girls with seats at the table. Bring me powerhouse women with a voice who sits at the table, who can influence decisions. That's true leadership. So that started, and I'll cut a long story short, that started a conversation with me and Mansour that said, well, I want that woman to be. Let's go. Now, every other leader who is not a 5 would put their ego in the way by having a chick tell me what to do, right? The response I got was, I want you, and let's bring that powerhouse, female, empowerment, membership base, next level. And so that's what we did, right? And I think that deserves a round of applause. So when we're talking about these hard conversations that we have, and we talk about the egos, and in the Disney model, true leadership with them is all about everyone who walks through our park has to have the most amazing magical experience, like they're in a fairy tale, right? And everyone who goes through that, the cast members are taught, if things go wrong, and it's not your fault, it doesn't matter, because it's still our problem to solve, right? Think about that for a second. How many times we sit here and, oh, the back office is not my fault, this is not my fault. We get it. But it's still our problem to solve. It's still our communication. It's still... Right, someone's writing down. It's still in a position where us as a team, as a membership base, as groups, need to move into solution mode and be really mindful of the story we're trying to tell. Now, when we talk about the stories we tell, we need to make sure those stories match our actions. And for me, this is the most powerful thing, to absolutely bring your teams to the next level. And let me explain to you why I say that. For me, this is really crucial for communication. I can make money, I can lose money. I can make more money on Monday. Yeah? Who can rank up and make more money? Yeah? And if you don't do something for a week, you can make more money next week, yeah? In your lifespan. When you've spent time, it's done. Your time is spent. You can never replenish it on Monday. So make sure that when you're treating other humans and that emotion comes in, and when we're talking about hard emotional conversations, people shifting their seat, they get uncomfortable about it because it's like, oh, this is going to get uncomfortable. And we call that a Cinderella moment. If you can recognise your Cinderella moments, and you're open, and your heart is open, and your mind is open for constructive feedback, in those Cinderella moments, your skill level to engage with people, to communicate with connection, will increase dramatically. And well, you know why we call it a Cinderella moment? Because the shoes fit. At that point in time, when someone's giving you feedback saying, you haven't got a female in leadership, Mansour had a Cinderella moment that said, the shoe fits. Now I need to change it. Right? And I know this is a confronting thing to talk about emotions and how you treat people. Because people won't remember what you said. You won't remember half the things we say in normal conversations. But you will remember how we made you feel. And going back to time spent, as a leader, if I set a time that says 1 o'clock, and I'm there at 1 o'clock, I'm late. I'm there a minimum half an hour before any event, greeting my people. Do you know what that shows them? I value your time, which is the most valuable commodity on the planet. And I respect you all equally because I value your time. I don't care about your money. And that's the most important commodity here. Walking your talk all the time. We can go through knowing and teaching the model operations. When you're starting into a business, whatever it is, you need to be all in. You need to be an expert in what you're delivering. You can't be playing the hokey pokey, guys. I'm in, I'm out, is it good? I don't know, I'm thinking about it, I've read this article. No. Get all in. Because once you're all in, we're all in, everyone else comes on that journey. No one's going to buy or be in a team with someone who really doesn't get it. Right? So become all in. Be available. Be visible. Be engaging. Transfer your knowledge. But not in an I am so important way. Right? Transfer the knowledge in a, this is what we can do for you. This will change your life. And then you go through the plan and build all the stories because you're telling them a story. Every time you present, you're telling people a story. When you do a testimonial, you're telling people a story. Be careful of testimonials that are egotistical. No one wants to hear 50 minutes on how great you are. Right? They want to hear where you went, how you did it, and then what you can do for them. Does that make sense to everybody? Right? Yay! Alright. Alright, make sure you remove the barriers and then the need to manage through micromanagement. When you're empowering people to do things, you cannot micromanage them. You give them the feeling of suffocation. This is not freedom. This is not something I can help build. Support, nurture and teach. Not micromanage, you must do this, you must put this here, you must do that. You must do what I say. I'm the egotistical leader. No, people will not get on the journey. And here's the thing with that. When you're having a look and doing self-reflection, you go, wow, look how much we made. And I look at Validus and I go, wow, first year, first conversation, 6 months in, look how much they made. Fabulous, fantastic. Let me tell you about how much you left on the table because you weren't engaging self-awareness of representation of diversity, which in 2022 is a key topic across the biggest corporations and businesses in the world. Right? So make sure when you recognise those barriers and think about the feeling. Look at the person's body language. How many times have you been in a conversation and I had some guy come to me, you know, a couple of weeks ago when we did the Melbourne event. He goes, Tracey, you know, I need some advice. I said, okay. What's up? I've presented this opportunity to 100 people. 100 people. Okay. How many did you convert? 1. Can't be. Such an amazing opportunity. Let's have a deep dive into what that looks like. Then when I looked at the statistics and asked him to show me how he presented, I could see exactly what was wrong. And I said to him, the story you're telling is not the story they're receiving. The way that you're behaving is not something anyone would want to work for you. So let's sit down and have the conversation, guys. If you're not converting, or if people you've shown the opportunity to, they walk away, they go and they ask another team member because they haven't decided yet. If someone walks away from what you've interacted with or what you've shown them and they choose someone else, that is your Cinderella moment to go, what am I doing that someone doesn't want to come on my journey in my team with my growth and what we're doing? And 9 times out of 10, when people are buying a product, it's never price. It's never, ever price. The objections are always emotional or value. And if we're not telling the story right, we're not communication with connection, we're just talking words. And we can't be just talking words. When we're celebrating someone, recognise and celebrate someone. But don't have other people who have got there. Like I've seen it in times. Oh, we've got a new diamond, we've got a new black, we've got... That's really great, but I got there quicker, and now it's all about me. Who do they think they are? Standing up there with a testimonial saying, oh, I got him in 3 months. Right? They're coming out to all the teams. I don't know who she thinks she are, tell them that testimonial. I got there 3 months earlier. La la la. Guys, it's not about, we've celebrated your success. We're ready to celebrate you and your next friend. But bring everyone on the journey in a positive story. Because when you talk like that, the story you're telling other people, you don't need help them. You need to be all about you. Because your ego won't let you go through. One of the biggest superpowers as a leader is being courageous enough to be vulnerable. The culture that offers vulnerability, trust, values and resilience is crucial to level 5 leadership qualities. Crucial. If you're brave enough to embrace leadership that exposes fear and uncertainty, especially when you cannot control the outcome. Mansell was brave enough to have that conversation with me. That's a big topic across the globe right now. Right? And he knew he couldn't control the outcome, but he was courageous enough to have it anyway. Does that make sense to everyone? Has everyone in this room today, with something I've said, had a Cinderella moment? Are you brave enough? Are you courageous enough to listen to what I'm saying and think, wow, I think I've had a presentation like that, I've had an off day like that, and it's okay, because things are going to go wrong. And we can get off task sometimes, but we never ever get off purpose. And that's the difference. We have a purpose, we have a strategy, we have a vision. Tasks can go either way, but if you get off task, fine, let's get back on. If you have that Cinderella moment, if you're brave enough to admit it, you are on your way, my friends. Way on your way. Because once you start reading the room, reading your emotions, and putting it all together, people will want to follow you. You won't have to demand it. I'm X level whatever. No one cares, guys. They care about who you are as a person, because this is the legacy story you're writing for yourself right now. think about what legacy you want for you. How many times do we go, nothing to lose, life is short, this and that? We often talk about, we should have eulogies at birthday parties, not funerals. Because by the time it gets to that, we don't know how we're going and what people really think about us. Because the story we're telling, sometimes we're not looping back to say, what's the story people are hearing? And the things that people are walking away and they're not signing up and you're not converting people are one of the most amazing opportunities in the globe right now. It sells itself. Yes or yes? Yes. Does it sell itself? Yes. And if they're walking away at 101 to you, whose problem is it? Absolutely. And when you can admit that that Cinderella moment is what's going to bring you back on track because you got off task and you weren't on your journey, your business and your ability to scale quickly is phenomenal. Dealing with ego. We touched on it. This is the biggest thing that will stop your growth. Right? If you don't foster a healthy environment, if you're operating in defense environments, and there's a huge temptation to say, stop, ego, like I said before, if you haven't avoided that because you're afraid you'll make a fool of yourself, or you want to be the big person, and you want to be, I'm a leader, your business will stop growing. We see it quite often when you go through the 5 levels of leadership. The only thing that's a roadblock in that is someone's ability to let their ego get out of control. Not being able to handle constructive criticism and feedback. When someone comes and says, there is an incident that happened. The story you told yourself was, no, it didn't. That person's got it wrong. Because what you're not realising is the story you're telling yourself, and it's not the story they're telling themselves. I went up and I read a leader and he didn't shake my hand. I felt really bad, so I walked out and I'm not signing on. That's the story that person felt. So when someone replays that to you, your Cinderella moment should be, wow, I wasn't self-aware. Let's not do that again. That's off task, that's off vision. And that's not the legacy I'm writing for myself today. Right? And that's really powerful. And it happens to all of us. It happens to every single one of us, every single day. You will have that Cinderella moment when you're dealing with egos. So why is authentic leadership? Why is it important? Right? When you're clear and consistent, when your set of values and your actions and words align, regardless of the situation, then you will be known as an authentic, true leader. You value their time, you say what you do, you turn up when you want to. When we said, come here today, everyone came here today on time. And we got going. Right? And yes, a few things go off kilter. There's some tasks, but we've always stuck to the purpose. And we're now in the purpose, writing our story today. First beacon, first leadership, first women on stage for the leadership team, first group gathering from all over for our first ever conference. We are writing our legacy story, and you're in it. You are a cast member in one of the most amazing stories in Burgess history. You need to recognise that, right? And be held accountable to all the standards. So here's the thing. As I close down, think about these key things that we discussed. Be courageous enough to be vulnerable. Try and recognise your Cinderella moments. When you build your team together and you go on that journey of success, celebrate it. It doesn't matter if you got there first, it matters who we bring along at scale after you. And I promise you, if you focus on these things and don't let your ego get defensive about what I'm telling you right now, your business will increase to the level that you will get your happily ever after. Thank you.
a short little break. Before we do, though, I want to bring up two individuals to do testimonials real quick. Mademoiselle Bouchard.